now we will convene our Mesa City Council study session for the morning of June 30th of this year. Again, we acknowledge that Councilmember Heredia is absent and excused, and all other council members are present. Item 1 is to review the agenda now just to remind everybody the obvious, Monday is the 4th of July, so our council meeting is on Tuesday, the 5th of July. And then in accordance with our tradition, we will move the 2 July council meetings to the beginning of the month, and we'll move the 2 August council meetings to the end of the month, so as to carve out a little bit of hopefully a holiday season or a break for members of staff to maybe go on a vacation or 2. So we will have the 5th of July will be our next council meeting, followed by the following Monday, July the 11th, will be the 2 council meetings for the month of July. So today we will review the July 5th council meeting agenda. I know that there's a lot on that agenda and we have some questions. Let's begin with Mr. Luna.
Yes, if we could have maybe Beth come up and talk about the phase on the fiber expansion.
Good morning, Mayor, Councilmember Luna. Travis has joined me. In each of our last couple of bond elections, we have included funding to build and complete our fiber network around the city so that we can transfer data between our facilities and have good connectivity to all of our fire stations, police stations, wells, just any kind of remote facility you can think of. So in 2018, we included money to install fiber in existing conduit, as well install new conduit, new fiber. The project you see before you is early procurement, and I know you're getting tired of hearing me say this, but supply chain is an issue for us with fiber. The fiber we normally use is about a 52-week lead time. So between Travis's staff and my staff, they evaluated a variety of different fiber. And we found a product we can get in about 30 weeks or 7 months, but we need to procure it now. So you really won't see any construction with this project until maybe 7 months from now, when we bring we'll be back in the fall or the spring to bring a GMP for a contractor to install it. This fiber will pretty much complete the downtown loop and the what we call the west loop, and everything west of Mesa Drive. And we're kind of focusing on that area because we already have a lot of conduit in the ground, and it's relatively quick for us to get in and put fiber in existing conduit where it is today. Once we're through with this project, we'll regroup on what monies we have left, and we'll start to focus east of Mesa Drive in the loop that goes all the way out to Power Road to see what we can get accomplished with that loop.
Now, as far as phase 3, I know we're talking about phase 2, which is in the downtown area. So phase 3, you're anticipating next couple of years or next year or what?
Yes, depending on how far our money stretches. Just caveat that right now because of the cost of fiber. We have another loop that's east of Mesa Drive that extends all the way out to Power Road.
Right.
And that's where we would focus the next group of projects.
And can we buy fiber now in anticipation that's going to happen? Is that a possibility? Or?
Yes, so we just need to look at the financing and the funding and make sure we have.
Right, great. Anyway, I just wanted an update. Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Before you leave, just a quick question. I know that we've made no secret of the fact that Ian and others on the staff are working with dark fiber folks, and we have a goal as a city to extend fiber to all of the homes and businesses in our community. And I'm very optimistic that we're going to be successful in that. Is there coordination between this program? I mean, is it apples and oranges? Are we digging 6-foot trenches and putting in 10-inch conduit, and the other guys are doing micro trenching? Or is it the same or is it different?
So there's some. Good morning, Mayor and Council. There's some synergies between the two efforts for sure. As a part of the I'll call it public-private partnership to come in and take fiber in front of every premise in the city, we've talked about what concessions might look like and in-kind contributions might look like, and we hope we can leverage that and be able to kind of bridge or or supplement what we're doing from an internal perspective. So this fiber that we're installing here is to serve internal city facilities and what have you, traffic signals, things like that. And the fiber that the private sector is bringing in is to serve internet to homes in that. However, with the partnership, we hope that we'll be able to leverage some of that fiber that they're putting in also to get to some of our facilities that we wouldn't have to in the future invest capital funds in.
That's good to hear, and I just wonder if vice versa isn't true as well. I mean, if we have major trunk lines of fiber going out to key spots, will private industry, jump off of that?
So Mayor, we're actually in conversations with a couple of the firms that either want to lease our conduits that are in the ground that we might not need, as well as we have one firm talking to us about leasing like 6 strands of fiber on our fiber lines, and we're having conversations with them about that. We generally put in quite a bit of fiber, between 144 to 288 strands, because we have a pretty big data load between all of the facilities that we're monitoring out there. So, but we do have some conduit and fiber that we could potentially lease to private sector, and we are having those conversations right now.
But Beth, we already do that.
Right.
We've been doing that for years.
It's not new. We lease out, I think we get like $2 million a year.
Yeah, we lease out quite a bit of conduit and fiber. Years ago, a company by the name of Zayo came into our city, and we did a number of in-kind projects with them. And then we ended up with some conduits. And then when we put in a street project, we put in 4 banks of 2 for our signal system, and we have extra conduit there. We've been doing this probably 5+ years, working with them on leasing conduit and strands of fiber.
Great.
It saves cuts in the street, which is very critical to us.
Well, again, our goal is to really be a national leader in this, and so I know you're talking with the private sector, but I hope that we're not under installing dark fiber, because if it explodes like we want it to, we don't want to have. It'd be nice to either pull more fiber through those conduits, or maybe just anticipate the need beforehand and just overbuild the conduits. Yeah.
As you talk to the private firms, they're very much aware of where we have conduit available, so that we encourage them to consider running their fiber. Some of them are interested. A lot of times, everybody wants their own conduit. Yeah. But we've always made it known where our capacity is. And in some places, we're able to lease out that space. But there's everybody kind of has their own preference of where they want their fiber to go. But it's out there and it's available, and so we try to encourage those kind of joint efforts. But there's going to be a lot of different groups coming into the city to run fiber, and a lot of different methodologies. We're trying to minimize the impact of the city, but we'll continue to, the conversation's open, but I don't want to represent that all of them are going to join up on that, because they seem to also sometimes have their preference to have their own conduit for their specific fiber.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing how this evolves. Thank you. Any more questions, Mr. Luna?
Thank you, and I think what we're doing, we're a national leader. I mean, because I just attended an information technology meeting this morning, and what we're doing, we're really ahead of the game. So thank you for your leadership in doing this, and I look forward to see future deployment, what that brings to our city. So.
Thank you.
Well, I also had a question on if we could bring maybe Corinne up, and she can talk about that 6C, yeah. And also wanted to acknowledge Andre and Senya, Falcon Field staff. Thank you for being here. They assist Corinne with their wonderful work. So talk to us about the updates on what's happening over at Falcon Field.
Okay, thank you so much, Mayor, Councilmember Luna, members of the council. We're very excited about bringing this agenda item forward to the council. Just to let you know, if you haven't already seen the airport, it is just really becoming so much more dynamic and prosperous. The development and growth that we're seeing out at the airport is just unbelievable, and it's great for Mesa, it's great for our community and for the region. The agenda item that you have to consider is an update to our standards that we have set in place since 2011 in terms of design of buildings at the airport. And this applies to new construction, but it also applies to existing construction when a tenant comes to us to ask for an amendment of some type. We do require them to comply with these standards. Now, the standards were put in place back in 2011. They were approved by City Council at that time, but what we have found, as we've worked with these standards for several years now, we really wanted to make some revisions and modifications to it for a couple reasons. Number one, to help streamline the process for getting these design standards approved by both the airport and by the planning folks, but also to give the architects and the tenants a little more latitude on what they could do to enable them to use their creative efforts to really come up with some very, very attractive structures. And I think if you come out to the airport, you'll see that there are already a number of beautiful buildings going in out there. And I can tell you right now that we are in the process of finalizing some lease negotiations for some other parcels of land. And those tenants have shown us what they are planning to do, and they're just going to be beautiful buildings. So we're very excited about this and would appreciate your support in these revisions.
So essentially, Mayor, we were trying to modernize the look of the airport, the aesthetics of the airport.
Right.
If the communities had opportunity to drive by Greenfield and McDowell and see the Mesa hangars, so we want to make sure that our hangars reflect and not be so prescriptive and so rigid, to give architects the opportunity to change the look of some of these hangars, so we look like a more of a modern airport.
Right, yeah. We want this airport to really stand out.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be just a boring airport.
Sure, and one of the things that, we're the second busiest airport in the country, which is incredible.
General aviation.
General
airport.
aviation airport, general aviation, so, not Sky Harbor, but general aviation airport. But we want to make sure that our airport is aesthetically pleasing, and appreciate your hard work on doing this, and as well as Senya and Andre, your staff.
It was a team effort, and also Josh with planning,
Josh,
and Tom
thank you,
Ellsworth,
Josh.
who actually went through the revisions with us and helped us put those in place. So it was a cooperative effort
Right.
with Development Services.
And just in time before Mr. Ellsworth left.
Right.
So we got him before he left, so.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the updates, and I'll be supporting this.
Thank you, Mayor and council members.
Thank you. Council, other questions regarding July 5th's agenda? Vice Mayor.
Yes, I'd like to review item 4L, which is the Northwest Water Reclamation Plant, the Food to Energy Program. Sounds like we're diving in and really getting past being in a pilot program into an official program for our city.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor. My name is Lauren Whitaker. I'm a Special Projects Manager for Environmental Management and Sustainability. Scott Boucher, my director, is out of the office, so I am happy to answer any questions that you have.
When we talk about this is really for equipment, correct?
Yes.
This is the first GMB, so it's kind of like the idea of buying fiber ahead of time, we're getting equipment ahead of time, is that correct?
That's correct. So we have some large equipment with significant long lead times. So this will be the first GMP that comes to you, and we may have a second one later in fall.
For the interest of the public, can you just give an overview of the project and how it works and what it provides for our city?
Sure, yeah, so this is phase one of our, which we're calling Flare to Fuel, of our Food to Energy program. So what we're looking at is taking the biogas that's created at the Northwest Water Reclamation Plant inside the digesters, and cleaning that to pipeline standards. And we'll be putting that into our natural gas utility that is owned by City of Mesa. And then we're going to show its use in our CNG vehicles. And from that, we get a benefit through the EPA, and we also get to work towards renewable natural gas in our climate action plan.
Right, so we're creating kind of a circular economy of taking our food waste as it turns into some kind of a methane that we can capture and convert into a CNG. Is that kind of accurate along those lines?
That's correct. So we're going to take our existing biogas at the water treatment plant for this first phase.
Okay.
In the future, we're looking at the potential to add food waste into the digesters, which will create even more biogas for us to use. And yeah, so it's a circular, we're taking a waste and using it as a resource for our city operations.
So this is a combination, this equipment is a combination of using our sewage waste and our food waste and the gas that's created from that, the methane?
Yes.
Or being
Yeah,
able to
let's-
use the same equipment to capture?
Let's be clear in the first phase. We're just talking about the biogas that already occurs at the plant today without the supplement of the food waste.
Correct.
So this is
Okay.
already today, this gas naturally is part of the natural process today of the treatment. And today, the reason it's called flare is today we actually have to burn that off so it doesn't just escape into the ozone. So the hope is that the plan is we create the equipment is to capture that gas as long as it scrub it down so it can take the impurities out so we can get back to the cleaner portion of the gas. Then through that process, be able to get it into our natural gas system. And then ultimately, showing that it actually supports our garbage trucks that are creating, the solid waste. And so that's the circular part of this economy or ecology of this, so.
So at this point, are we collecting food waste in particular?
No, that'll come later. That concept, we still have to keep to prove that up and work through that system. What we're simply doing, let's say simply, it's pretty complex.
Yeah.
What we're doing today is capturing the gas that already occurs, even before we supplement it in the future as we work through that food digester, or we supplement the digesters with food waste, I guess is a better way of saying it. Right now, occurs today. We could go down to the plant, you would see the gas emitting and you'd see it being burned off. And the idea is for us to try to capture as much of that gas as possible and be able to put that back into a beneficial use. And I think on the same agenda, or maybe it's the next
Yes.
one, that we have purchasing more solid waste trucks, CNG, natural gas solid waste trucks. So it allows us to also capture another fuel source for the city of Mesa. Does that help?
Yes, and I love the program, I love that we're doing it, I'm just trying to understand we're in pilot programs and now we're investing into the equipment to formally do this so that we can run our city vehicles, and I think eventually, as we get into the food waste and be
Yes.
able to expand.
That will come later, that's right.
We will
Yeah.
also
And-
maybe
and-
produce gas in excess of our
There
needs
you
and
go.
be able to
Yeah.
put that on the market and
Yep,
have
that's
natural
correct,
gas.
that's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just want to add my enthusiasm to this, and I know the next agenda item, well, later in this meeting, we're going to get an update on the climate action plan, and I know that the way we're implementing that plan is by asking all of the departments in the city to find ways to participate and to have a meaningful impact on it, and this is a great example of how our water resources folks are really, it's kind of throwing down the gauntlet for the other departments to try to catch up to them at doing some really innovative things. And the Flare to Fuel program is very impressive. It'll be great when we figure out the Food to Fuel program, and I'm still really excited about the whole algae, eating carbon program that started with ASU as a demonstration project, and it will be fun to see if we can scale that up to actually, that would be a cool national story if we can do that. So anyway, kudos to all the departments that are embracing the climate action plan and finding ways to incorporate it into how you are doing your business. I'm sorry. Other questions about the 5th of July? Ms. Pillsbury.
8A, 32nd and Southern, the attorney she'll be out of town on July 5th, so she's asked if we will put it on the 11th agenda.
Okay. So we continued that to July the 5th, and so on the July the 5th agenda, Mr. Smith, will we just continue it till July the 11th? And that will be on the consent agenda as a continuance, right? Okay.
Well, it's not on the consent.
It won't be on consent, it'll still be off consent, but it'll be on the July 11th. It'll be set for, sorry, on July 5th, it'll be set to be heard on July 11th. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, we have put consent on consent, what I'll call hard continuances, something that's just being continued. So if,
Oh, I see what you're
if
saying.
that, and it's that. the
Does it-
applicant
does
is
it make sense
On
to-
the
requesting
5th, it'll be on consent.
Does it make sense
Set
to call it
for
up
the
as an
11th.
agenda, off the consent item?
I was hung up on
Yeah.
the fact it was a
was
protest, but
gonna
this
be-
is just
okay.
because we're moving it to the 11th. Yeah, that makes sense.
But you're right, given that it is a protest, we need to make sure that people understand that please don't come on July the 5th because it's being continued to
Right.
July the 11th. So what's the best way to communicate that? Do we need to,
I think Mr.
Yeah.
Appia can take care of that, and Julie can take
All right.
care of that. I think-
Mayor, Council, we've been in contact communication with the community leaders. We actually met with them on Tuesday, and they are aware that it's going to be continued to the 11th. So after this meeting, we'll continue to communicate with them as well.
okay. Great. So people, yeah. But it'll be on the consent agenda with a date
To
certain for
set
the
it for
11th.
the 11th.
Okay,
Gotcha.
thank you. Other council, other issues on our our Tuesday agenda? All right, thank you very much. Let's move on then to item 2A, which, as I indicated earlier, is a presentation and to provide direction on the update to the Mesa Climate Action Plan 2.0. Andrea and Laura, two of our environmental warriors, thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Andrea Alicote, Diversity and Special Projects Manager, and with me, Laura Heineman, Deputy Director for the Environmental and Sustainability Department.
Good morning.
And we are very happy to be coming forward with the Mesa Climate Action Plan update to our existing plan, in which we will be calling version 2.0. So as a reminder to Mayor and Council, our climate action plan and efforts were led by your own strategic initiative for a healthy environment. We even discussed in your strategic planning session earlier this year on the continued commitment towards our healthy environment. We came to you almost exactly a year ago with the first version of our Mesa Climate Action Plan in June 2021, and that version really led with city operations and the overall commitment that the city is going to be making towards that effort. Our plan consisted of 4 aspirational goals. These were bold statements that we put out into the community. So the first aspirational goal was to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, reducing our greenhouse gas emissions within our city operations 50% by 2030. Aspirational goal number 2, renewable energy, to achieve 100% renewable energy by 2050. Aspirational goal number 3, materials management, diverting 90% of the waste in our landfills by 2050. And then aspirational goal number 4, community action. We knew that engaging our community was going to be a significant piece of what we needed to fold into our climate action plan, and that's what we're here to talk to you about today. And just as another reminder, our approach with our climate action plan is really to focus on 6 different buckets. These are not siloed. They have a lot of co-benefits where they connect within the projects and efforts that we're doing. But this was a concentrated way that we're able to go out and speak to the public. So we have energy, air quality, heat mitigation, water stewardship, materials management, and food systems.
Progress on our first climate action plan is well underway. Mesa is committed to fostering solutions, and we're proud to lead by example. Every city department, as you mentioned, Mayor, is committed to achieving the plan's aspirational goals and interim milestones. This past year, departments looked at innovation, they coordinated, and they streamlined city operations to further climate action. As a reminder, Council approved $10 million for climate action projects during the budget process. I wanted to give you a brief update on that. The Community Electric Vehicle Charging Master Plan is bound to get started here later in the summer. You just heard an update on the Flare to Fuel project, and also funding was budgeted for lighting projects. The largest lighting project is one for the Mesa Arts Center. That project is scoped. It's out for bid right now, and we plan to start in August. The Healthy Environments data, council initiative page, the data on that continues to evolve, and the purpose of that is to really share our progress with the community on our climate action goals. And we will provide more updates to you as work progresses.
So once again, it was a big priority for us to go out to the community in the past year. So beginning late summer last year, we initiated a public campaign partnered with the Parks and Recreation and Facilities Department called Footprints for the Future. And through that, we had conducted community workshops, we had virtual public meeting series, we had an online interactive platform, and we initiated a public survey. Through the public survey, we had over 2,200 Mesa residents, community members respond, and so that gave us a really good snapshot of interest and engagement within climate action initiatives. We asked 13 different questions, and as you can see just from this one sample question, most of the data that we had received is this general interest of concern, general engagement of the different questions that we were asking, and so we took that information as we continued to move forward. One of the voices through that 6-month engagement process that we felt that we were missing was our business community. And so we partnered with our Economic Development Office, and I would like to give them a big shout out for the support and the work that they did to help us with this. We contacted varying businesses to engage them. Many of these business leaders are already doing their own efforts, leading in their own right. And so we wanted to ask them, we shared our existing climate action plan with them, asked them to review it and provide statements of support. Over 23 businesses currently have signed on as, making a pledge towards our community of Mesa climate action initiatives. And as you can see here, here's a snapshot of some of the comments that we had received. This plan will be bringing a much needed awareness to increase sustainability in our growing community. We're proud to see the strides the City of Mesa is taking to pursue making our community healthier and more sustainable for the future. We look forward to continued partnership with the city as we go to achieve their important sustainable goals. So these are really bold statements on behalf of our business community and those leaders and partnerships. But more importantly, these 23 businesses that have currently signed on, we hope that many more will also make pledges. They represent a significant portion of our Mesa workforce. And so to know that our workforce, through their employers, are also committed to climate action initiatives just strengthens that community impact. So once again, throughout this engagement process, there were some key findings that we had identified, and that was that the community is really interested in our resilient water supply, air quality, such as trees and shade, and renewable energy. We went into this process really looking for the community to identify specific projects or giving detailed input. But what we learned out of all of this engagement is not that there were specific items that they had interest in, but more of these buckets of categories here. So increasing education. They would like the city to be able to provide more information, how they can do cost savings, what are green initiatives, and so forth. Making sure that we're keeping them informed on the progress, which is why you'll continue to hear presentations such as the Flare to Fuel, as you just had that discussion, and being able to really inform the community on what we're doing. Continuing to build those partnerships. We have some very strong active community groups. Our youth is very interested, so that's going to be something that we'd move forward with in making sure that we're engaging those voices. And then funding and incentives. Many of the community respondents had stated that they are willing to contribute, should we provide different types of funding or incentive options to make that more accessible for them.
MCAP 2.0 strives to build a climate-ready, resilient community. We're using the recommendations that we received through the outreach, and we're also going to continue engaging the community in climate action initiatives. So I wanted to touch on some of the ideas we have how to do this moving forward. We really want to enhance community action messaging. As an example, I'd like to refer to the recent water conservation messaging that you've seen. It contains an educational element and a call to action. The water conservation team is looking at new and creative ways to put that message out into the community, and in July, you'll begin to see messaging up on transit shelters throughout our community. Traditional methods, marketing, and TV interviews really are making an impact. The water conservation team has received, in the last 2 months, twice as many customer contacts and applications for grass to xeriscape applications as we received in the last 12 months. So people are in the community are responding to this messaging. The plan really promotes equitable solutions in our community, and we're going to keep that in mind as we move forward with our engagement process. One of the strategies that we're going to use is setting up community workshops. We're planning on 3 to 4 community workshops a year, really designed to engage with groups that may not have participated in the initial outreach and engagement surveys. We have 2 workshops that are planning is underway. We've met with the organizers of Emerge, which is an event planned with ASU and the Mesa Art Center on the future of food. And the organizers are very supportive of us having a climate action workshop at that event. We're also going to continue working with youth committees and student organizations like the Knowledge Exchange for Resilience at ASU. There's just ways to continue to engage with the youth. We will collaborate with interest groups on matters that are important to them. For example, we heard from the community, they love trees and shade. Over the last year, the community took a small grant from the Forestry Service and they turned it into a volunteer effort that planted 150 trees in Northwest Mesa. That's the kind of thing we want to continue working on. Through MCAP 2.0, we will promote tree planting campaigns and pledges and work with groups like Trees Matter to make these things into a reality. For larger climate initiatives, we are developing or we have strategic partners that are interested in the same types of large-scale, long-term climate initiatives. We are working with partners on a utility scale renewable energy project right here within the boundaries of the city of Mesa. We're also working with partners on planning to install electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the city of Mesa that connects to networks in the region. So those are larger, longer term initiatives that we really are going to utilize those strategic partners to make those come to fruition. And lastly, I wanted to say that this is a plan by the community, for the community, and we really want to empower community leaders to take climate action.
Thank you, Laura. So with that, we have updated the last aspirational goal in this new 2.0 version. So as you can see, the last, in our first version, it was to engage the community, and now we are going to be calling it a climate-ready community, enhancing our community's resilience through collaboration and inclusive engagement. So within the document itself, it will look and feel very similar. A lot of the graphics are the same, the layout looks the same, but throughout the entire document, we went ahead and updated it to reflect the community's priorities and their goals that they identified. We have updated our community operations information to be more detailed and robust, including an implementation matrix, and then once again adjusted the aspirational goals and some of the strategies. So moving forward, we will continue to track our data and include some community metrics that we will have on our open data dashboard. We're going to, as Laura had mentioned and outlined, continue moving forward with the community engagement. So what we did in the last year was just the beginning to gauge that, that initial pulse. And we have outlined a year of engagement plans for this upcoming fiscal year. And then departments are going to continue to bring forward to council the varying projects and initiatives individually so that you can have more robust discussions on their impacts. And then the general reminder that this plan is a living document. It's going to continue to evolve over time. We hopefully, by 2050, we'll have version 15 at your doorstep, just to track that ongoing engagement that we have been doing and to make sure that we're crossing off our list to reach those aspirational goals. So with that, we're open for questions.
Thank you for what you're doing and for the good presentation. Who wants to go first? Okay.
I'm going to go. Sure. Thank you very much for all your work on this, and it's been tremendous, and I appreciate all the integration in all the city departments, and now we're ready to go out into the community, and the community is very ready. That is probably the top question I get when I'm in the community, is what we're talking about, the climate, water, heat, the things identified here. For this reason, I'd like to suggest that the city have a sustainability or a climate action advisory board, because the interest is so strong and the work is so great that we need to do in all aspects of our city, to include technology and industry and youth in our neighborhoods, nonprofits, businesses, community members. It touches all aspects, and everybody is very interested and wants to do as much as they can. If we can somehow get the input at a greater way from our community as a living dialogue as we go through this process, as well as taking the information that we're providing when we're doing our outreach, but really getting into the community in all these different pockets, I think it could be beneficial to reaching our goals in a big way. I'd like to also suggest some policy goals, maybe with our developments and challenges maybe to our residents, as far as the tree and shade canopy. A goal to maybe reach 30% on your particular property. If you can get an area to reach a 30% shade or tree canopies, you can reduce the heat in your area like 5%. And if you look at heat maps in the neighborhoods, you'll find that the better neighborhoods are much cooler, 5 to 10 degrees cooler, than the neighborhoods that are lower income and don't have the tree canopies and don't have the means in which to have the shade. And we can focus, I know that's a priority in the heat mitigation plan, and addressing those issues that we have those ability to reach the areas to cool them down and provide that amenity, especially sometimes construction isn't the best, and so having the shade certainly makes a difference in the ability of a home being able to stay cool. So I think it's vast what we need to do with our businesses and with our neighborhoods, and I thank you for all your work on that, and we'll certainly be a partner in what we need to achieve together. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes, Mr. Luna.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. One of the things that always excites me is when I go into schools, the kids are so in tune to the whole climate action plan and what we're trying to do. And the kids are going to be our future. So I appreciate the work that you're doing in our schools. The whole tree planting thing was so exciting. I know Councilmember Freeman posted a bunch of pictures of trees planting in some of the schools. And so continue working on that. I think that's real positive. The kids are our future, and this is their world too, and we want to make sure that we continue working towards that. So thank you for your hard work there.
Thank you. Other questions, Ms. Pillsbury?
Maybe I'll just ask, thank you so much for all of this work. If someone reaches out to us wanting to get involved, like what's the best way? Where do we direct them? Obviously, they can go read the climate action plan, but what's the best way for people to get involved?
I think,
Thank you, Mayor and council member, for that question. That is really.
that shouldn't leave me flat-footed. Mayor and council member, I think my response to that is it really depends who they are. If they represent an organization, like we mentioned, if there's a special interest group and there's something that matters to them, let's figure out how to get them engaged and empower them to move forward with that initiative in the community. If it's an individual, they're welcome to reach out and we will take that input. That's really what we're looking for with the difference between MCAP 2.0 and MCAP 1.0 is one was, leading by example here in city operations. 2.0 is really how do we have people working on these initiatives in the neighborhood, in the community. So I would like to hear from them and find out what their ideas are.
Okay, so they could just reach out to your office.
Yes, and I would like to acknowledge that Laura's team has done a wonderful job. They host a sustainability website that gives a lot of different tips and things that the public can do already right now on their own. So it's a very robust website and it lists all the detailed contact information on there.
Okay, great. And I know like when we listen to the Mayor's Youth Committee projects, a lot of those have, sustainability, climate action pieces, components of their ideas for the city. And so I would also echo Councilor Luna's words, just that we've got to get our youth involved. You guys know that. They're the ones with all the ideas and so it's exciting to hear from them too. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? I think I do have a few comments and questions as well. Thank you. It's fun to see this evolve, and I know we had a kind of a placeholder for our fourth goal, saying we're going to go out and talk to the community, and I thank you for doing that now. And that's evolving into a climate-ready goal, and that's going to continue to evolve. And we're never done with this, right? We're going to we'll have 2.1, and we'll see where this takes us, but. I was impressed with the slide you had with all of the large industries in Mesa that are engaging on this, and many of those are some of the. Look at that. We're talking about some of the nations and some of the world's most successful corporations, and these are corporations that have climate action plans of their own, and they're very open and welcoming to the conversation about what can you do to help us with our climate action plan. So. I think there's more we can do here because we've got willing participants and we've got, industry has significant impact on our climate. I mean, certainly we all do it in our homes, but look at some of the, multi-billion-dollar facilities we have in our community that are really have a significant impact on the environment. So one of the things I like about this plan is we're not compelling anyone to do anyone outside. We're encouraging and we're asking our internal groups to figure out ways to improve. But as far as at least to this point, when we engage with the community, it's really more of a collaborative type of an effort. So long setup to the question. I would love to see some sort of a pledge associated with this where we say, hey, on a voluntary basis, will you please identify for us what you're doing in Mesa, Arizona to help us with climate? And I bet there's some really cool stories or comments that will come from the businesses on this screen and others that would be fun to include in our climate action plan. And so just to kind of build some community support and some momentum showing that, this is not an adversarial situation. This is a collaborative effort. But I think that this is I'm very encouraged by what you've done here. Also, when you were talking, as a result of the outreach you've done, it sounds like the public was saying that the role that the city ought to play is to educate and, to the extent possible, provide incentives. And so water conservation, I know, is a big topic right now, and I know the budget that was just passed a week ago, $1 billion was allocated to water, and I think included in that total was, if I'm correct, maybe a couple $100 million having to do with water conservation. And so I think this is breaking news, and I wonder, I'd love to hear back, Mr. Butler and Mr. Brady, what perhaps additional incentives we can, to what extent can we get our hands on some of that money and then get it into the hands of people in Mesa to incentivize water conservation? You mentioned, grass to xeriscape incentives. I'd really like to see us run with that, but I think a lot of people are interested in converting their alfalfa fields into something less water intense. I'm talking about residential.
Maybe it's Bermuda.
Bermuda, there you go. So I hope that we don't want to leave any state money on the table. So I'd love to hear back, from staff as to, yes, we're ready to take some of these programs and increase them because there's additional funding from the state to convert your grass lawn to either a turf or a xeriscape lawn. I think there's an increasing appetite, particularly when people get their water bills. We don't, there's better ways to spend your money than watering your lawn. Also, I know the city of Phoenix just a week or two ago announced their electric vehicle plan and some pretty lofty goals for the number of electric vehicles that they think are going to be on the streets in Phoenix, and I think it's going to be the same in Mesa. This is the same market. So I'm looking forward to, and I know that's in the works in our city as well, but I'm looking forward to learning more about what infrastructure we need to allow for, both at a city fleet level, but also for those of us that, again, don't want to spend a lot of money every week putting gas in our cars. And maybe we have environmental motivation to do that as well. So I guess I'm saying I'm looking forward to hearing more on the water conservation issue, on the electric vehicle issue, and on perhaps what we can do to partner with the industries that you've worked so well with to this point.
The water conservation team is very excited when they saw that the final version of that bill included such an allocation for conservation, because I don't think people think about it, but conservation is a resource. That is water that can be used elsewhere. If you're not using it on your turf, it can be used elsewhere. So, and we have talked about, what can we do to increase participation in our conservation programming. So we're very excited about that.
Great. Thank you. Vice Mayor.
I'll just add one comment that the city of Mesa sponsors a program through Local First AZ for small businesses, for local businesses, to participate in their green business program. And it's something that we're starting to launch, and COVID hit, and then our priorities for small businesses, we're not talking about green program, we're talking about staying in business and keeping the lights on, how that we can sustain them. So now we're back into a more stable economic environment that, let's get back to promoting that. And I just want to put a shout out to any small businesses that are local out there, that this is an excellent program. Local First will come in and review your processes and such and make suggestions that are actually cost saving and how you can be more efficient and friendlier on your uses and such like that. It's a win-win situation, and then you'll be a certified green business, and that certainly helps on the marketing of committing to these goals that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel bad that I said we should get rid of alfalfa fields, Mr. Freeman. No, we don't want to do that. I meant to say Bermuda. Thank you.
I do have a
yes,
comment.
please.
Not in rebuttal to your comment about alfalfa. But I thought about this presentation about creating some type of foundation or nonprofits. Do we have nonprofits out there that could collect funding mechanisms to help, facilitate any, not only city projects, but in the future neighborhood projects? And I'm thinking about the city does own agricultural land in our city, and how we can capitalize on that through conservation, but at creating, all our surrounding communities used to be an agricultural mecca in the day, and so we've been far removed from that. But we do own some ag land. We're in a food desert here in Mesa, so taking some land that we currently own, helping people understand where their food comes from, utilizing our newer agricultural methods in water conservation, drip lines, et cetera, can help people realize, or groups, or community-supported agriculture, come back to the roots, so to speak, grow things for the community, grow things for a restaurant. So we do have some lands, we do have some, I know in D1 and D3, we have citrus groves that are currently being evaluated that are underperforming. Some are performing well or cost neutral, but others are not. We got dead trees on grounds that, look kind of unsightly. So, I mean, there's things we can do within our own city to enhance the way we look in some of our ag land that we own. And then I thought some of the education components that partnering with our school system, like Smith talked about. I've talked to Dr. Forlis about that, and she's on board in any type of educational programs that the school can participate in, that she wants to do it 100%. These are just some of my thoughts, and later today I'll put the mayor on my swath there and we'll go cut some alfalfa.
Well, I mean, I think preserving some of our agricultural land in the city of Mesa might actually be a water conservation effort as well, because if it converts to residential, that.
It's the reverse.
Yeah. Well.
But
Ag uses more.
But the benefit is,
It's
it's
still a good
cooler.
reason to keep, yeah.
It's cooler, it's, people like the open space,
All right.
and it's,
We'll find a good reason to preserve the agriculture. Gives Mark a lucrative hobby.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions for these folks? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We appreciate the support and look forward to bringing back many more updates to come.
Thank you. We'll look forward to 3.0. Item 2B is to take action on appointments to various boards. Is there a motion to approve that? Thank you, Mr. Freeman, and seconded by Mr. Luna. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you. That passes unanimously. Item 3 is current event summary and conferences attended. I know we missed a week last week, so you probably have a lot to say. Mr. Luna?
Thank you, Mayor. I had the opportunity to attend the 39th Annual NALEO Conference in Chicago. And NALEO is the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials. Vice President Kamala Harris was there, speak on a variety of issues as it relates to what's going on in the national scene, as well as supporting communities and local issues in support of that. I also met with Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Communication and Information, and was there on hand to hear what's going on as relative to updates from the ITC, Information Technology Committee, and so that was real positive. I want to congratulate Corinne and her staff for a wonderful opportunity yesterday for the viewing area. So I encourage the community, if you want to watch airplanes take off and land, go to this viewing area. It's right next to the terminal. Corinne and her staff, as well as some other organizations, did a wonderful job in creating a place-making facility situation, if you will. Bring your kids, come and have a picnic, sit in the grass when it gets a little cooler. There are some shades, structures there, as well as some cool little airplanes you can sit on. I even sat on it, as well as some of my colleagues here. And we took some nice pictures. So please visit Falcon Field if you enjoy aviation and watching aircraft land and take off. So that was a lot of fun. I also attended an ITC Information Technology meeting from the National League of Cities, 6 o'clock this morning, so it was a little early. And we talked about updating our resolutions as part of our federal advocacy mission. And let's see, and I think that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Pillsbury?
I know we talked about it last week, but I got to have my turn at going to speak at the Mesa Police Department Youth Leadership Academy. So that was really fun. I love that program that helps them with leadership skills and team building and problem solving and decision making. It's cool to see teenagers get up early in the summer and go do something that will affect their lives. I know you've all gotten a chance probably to go speak there, but it's a great program. Councilmember Freeman and I attended the We Run Mesa event at Jefferson Elementary last week, and that's also a great program that Nicole Leba runs that helps these kids get moving and have some social interaction. And it was awesome to see Mesa police officers and firefighters out there supporting the program as well. And then I wanted to announce on July 14th at the Mesa Arts Center, there's going to be a free concert, a free event called Night to Connect, and it's to normalize and encourage conversations around mental health, addiction recovery, suicide awareness. It's at 6:30, I believe, and it's free tickets. You can go to the Connection is the Cure website, and it's going to be a really great event and an important event for our community. That's it for me.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yes. I also attended a We Run Mesa event at Eagles Park last week with Fire and PD. We were out there with the kids. It was great fun, and I was so relieved that it was indoors in the afternoon. Thank you to Nicole Leba for running the program, literally. She does a great job, and it's always fun and makes a difference in the lives of the kids in the neighborhood. I also attended that day. I have to congratulate Mark Garcia on the 10th anniversary at Visit Mesa. There was a little celebration last week. He's done tremendous work for our city and tourism, and recognized nationally for his work and awarded. We also, are you going to mention the PD graduation? I can. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll let you do that.
You're on it.
Well, no, you can mention that. I'll mention that yesterday I was at the Fiesta substation with a little thank you lunch for the crew there. They are doing such tremendous work in the neighborhoods and on the violent crime projects. They're remarkable in the probably the most challenged part of our city. And I'm just so proud and thankful to have them as a partner in making our city safer. Also, I sat in on the Planning Department zoning ordinance meeting last night. It was just a Zoom meeting, but it covered the drive-throughs, temporary uses, and outdoor eating, those changes. Rachel did a phenomenal job in answering everybody's questions. I thought it was well done. And shortly, I know the mayor and I don't know who else will be going to the Cahoots for the ribbon cutting. This is something been in the makes for some years now, and I'm so excited to attend this co-working space, not groundbreaking, but ribbon cutting, because we're actually opening the thing at Benedictine University. I think it's the second floor, third floor, second floor? The second floor. Second and third. It's that big, yeah. And it'll make a tremendous difference for our community and having this resource to collaborate and workshops and grow and scale businesses. Thank you.
Mr. Moon, I know you wanted to slip something in before.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I also want to acknowledge Marcus Steele is leaving the city of Mesa. He's had some new opportunities, but he was one of the leaders that started the Mesa Hispanic Network. So I want to acknowledge him and thank him for all his efforts. It's a great affinity group, and I just want to tell him thank you for your hard work, and best of luck to you in your career.
Marcus was here earlier, but I think he slipped out. So hopefully everyone will let him know that he got a shout out at council meeting, please. Mr. Freeman.
Are you going to do Mike Dunn?
Why don't you do that? I think it would be more meaningful if you mentioned it.
Chief Dunn, are you here? You're in the back?
He is.
Yeah.
Mike, why don't you stand? Is this your last meeting, or, are you retiring soon?
This is my last meeting. Yeah, I thought the last time I would be acknowledged was during our budget presentation. But I appreciate you mentioning that today. Yeah, I retire on July 14th after 35 years.
Wow.
Well, I think that's awesome. He and I have had some great paramedic calls together. I still relish those, but I really appreciate your leadership and as a chief and seeing you grow up in the fire department. So your institutional knowledge will be missed on the city, for the city, and appreciate your service. So what are you going to do now?
Spend time with my lovely wife and grandkids and brush up on my golf game a little bit.
Good luck with that. All right. Thanks, Mike, for all you've done. Mayor, I did attend the Mesa Police graduation, and you spoke at that, and that was a great talk, and Judge Tatz swore in that group of fine personnel. So with that, thank you.
Great, thank you. How many more years does everybody have if if the new bar is 35 years to require to retire? So yeah, don't be sloughing off, all right? Mike Dunn's the standard by which you all will be judged for retirement. I was going to mention the Gray Star groundbreaking, Mr. Thompson. Do you want to? No, okay. Well, Mr. Thompson and I just a day or two ago, if every time you drive out to Gateway, right, there's a new million square foot building that's been erected. So, but this is the latest of those. We're just immediately south of the airport. A 2 million square feet of spec industrial space, 2.5 million square foot buildings, and a 1 million square foot building broke ground this last week. And it's just, it's amazing, you know, the growth that's taking place out there. And we saw a moment ago the logos of the types of businesses that are coming to Mesa. And these are, again, our Fortune 50 businesses and making significant investments. So that process is still alive and well, and we're continuing to attract these multi-billion-dollar investments in our community. So that was fun to see. Anything else you'd like to share with us, Council? Mr. Brady, can you tell us again how the next month or so is going to look for our meetings, because it's a little out of the ordinary?
Sure. It's really only the next couple of weeks, actually. So there will be an Audit and Finance Committee meeting following this study session. Then, as we talked about today, our next council meeting will be on Tuesday, July 5th. And we will also, on that part of that study session on July 5th, be reviewing the July 11th council meeting, which will be the following Monday. So just that will complete. We won't have any more study sessions. We're just going to meet on the 5th. On Tuesday, we'll go through the agenda for the 5th, but we'll also review the agenda for the 11th. That's sometimes a little confusing, but we'll try to keep that straight. And then come back the following Monday, the 11th, for our final council meeting before the council break. And then we'll reconvene again, as the mayor mentioned, later in the second half of August to pick up the final 2 weeks of council meetings. So no more study sessions until August, but we have the 2 council meetings, July 5th and July 11th.
What time do we start July 5th?
I believe we have that scheduled for 5 o'clock.
5 p.m. July 5th.
Yeah, so don't stay up too late on the 4th.
Got it.
Or listen to the fireworks.
Or listen to the fireworks.
Well, so speaking of the 4th,
Oh, yeah, we should talk about the 4th. You want to?
well, there's a lot to say, and I hope we don't miss saying some of it. It's going to be, so the Celebration of Freedom event is back live and in person on Monday, the 4th of July.
Downtown?
In downtown, particularly in and around the Mesa Convention Center. There will be lots of hydration stations, lots of cooling stations.
Bounce houses?
Bounce houses. Bring your kids. Probably, I would bring them in a swimming suit because they're going to get wet and they're going to have a lot of fun. And then the Mother of All Fireworks events will be that evening.
About 9:30.
And we are one of the few large-scale fireworks displays in the valley because supply chain in this instance things worked out. Not so much for the other communities. So
Right.
we probably will have a larger than usual attendance at the fireworks display because we are one of the few major fireworks displays in the valley that night.
Correct.
And I hope everybody will consider coming to the naturalization ceremony that is going to be that afternoon. I think probably starting at 4 o'clock. Thank you. And that will be, thank you, 5 o'clock. That will be in the Centennial Hall. This is a very patriotic event. If you haven't seen one of these before, it's a great way to celebrate the 4th of July. I'm sure I missed some things. There will also be a program. We'll have speakers and music and
There's both indoor, outdoor events going on, and as you mentioned, the amphitheater gets used, concerts going on, so there's lots of things to do, food trucks,
right.
But culminating in the fireworks that evening. So we're excited to keep the tradition, bring the tradition back to downtown. We've been over in Fiesta, which worked out nice, but it's nice to be back downtown.
And it all starts at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. is all the activities to 6 to 10, yep.
And there's a car show, too. I might be a judge.
Oh.
There's a what? A car show?
A car show.
Oh, man, I hope I have time to wax the truck. What time does the fireworks display start?
9:30.
9:30. And so obviously you can be inside, it's free, you can be inside the amphitheater, but obviously you can park anywhere, close by.
Probably within a quarter mile to a half mile of downtown, and you'll have great views.
Right. Mr. Freeman?
Since we're talking about fireworks, I just want to emphasize illegal fireworks because Mesa Police and Mesa Fire did an illegal firework raid on a business this past week in District 1 and got a whole pickup load of fireworks from a vendor
I just
that
did
was
another
doing
one
illegal.
yesterday. It's been
So
very
there are
difficult.
legal fireworks out there. We want to send the message that we're watching, and but we want you to come to the legal fireworks on July 4th at 9:30. But I appreciate our police and fire for taking that in because that helped alleviate a lot of problems in my district.
Great. All right, anything else, council, before we adjourn? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Ms. Pillsbury and Mr. Luna. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, we're adjourned.